Hello. Today we are going to talk about an international matter, and you know that uh, tension in the Middle East, which had never gone away, is flaring up once again, and this time in Israel, where Hamas, an organization which runs Gaza. Gaza is an enclave, a small part of within the country of Israel, which is said to be occupied by Israel. Israel does not consider it an occupation. Uh, Palestinians consider this an occupation. There are two enclaves within Israel which are said to be occupied by Israel. One is, of course, Gaza. Gaza is in the south, and south, the border of Israel is with Egypt. Then you have West Bank, an area which is on the west bank of the river Jordan, which adjoins Jerusalem. There is another enclave, another small territory, small region, which is said to be occupied by Israel. But of course, Palestine considered it as occupied. Israel does not consider it so. So let me make it very clear that occupation is something that is normally mentioned everywhere, including United Nations. United Nations consider this an occupation. This area called West Bank is adjoined on the other side of River Jordan by the country Jordan itself. Now, uh, to understand what is happening in Gaza, we need to understand who is Hamas. Uh, what is this organization which seems to be taking on a much stronger, militarily superior Israel? Why do they do that? And what are the consequences of that? Uh, let's talk about Hamas. uh, if we go back before 1980, uh, the fight for Palestine was undertaken primarily by a Palestinian organization called PLO, or Palestine Liberation Organization. It was the only major organization. There were several smaller organizations which were doing it, and most of it were accused of being terrorist organizations. Even PLO was designated as a terrorist organization at a certain point of time, but is not considered so from the 1990s onwards. PLO was the major organization which was fighting for the liberation of Palestine, and PLO was headed by a person called Yasser Arafat. You can Google about him, or you can go to Wikipedia and read about him. Uh, Yasser Arafat started adopting a softer approach towards Israel and United States, which was trying to find a solution to the Palestinian and Israeli affair. And this was not accepted by certain people who were fighting for the liberation of Palestine. They wanted more violent methods of protest. They did not want to compromise. And some of them got together and formed this organization called Hamas. Today, the leader of Hamas, Hamas has undergone many leadership changes, particularly because these leaders were assassinated by Israel. Today, it's a person called Ismail Haniyeh. Haniyeh. Ismail Haniyeh is a person who heads it. In the 1990s, 1993 to be exact, Palestine Liberation Organization, along with the country Jordan, entered into an agreement to establish a ceasefire and peace between the two enclaves of Gaza and West Bank. And they also decided to hold elections to self-administer these territories. Don't misunderstand, it's self-administer, it's not freedom. Israel technically is occupying it still. Elections were held much later. Of course, Hamas violently opposed that. Elections were held later, much later, And PLO had a political division. Today you will not hear the word PLO much. You will hear the word Al-Fatah, A-L-F-A-T-A-H, Al-Fatah, which is the name of the political organization of PLO. So PLO, which was actually a militant organization, adapted itself to the changing circumstances and converted itself into a political organization called Al-Fatah, which is headed by a person called Mahmoud Abbas. Mahmoud Abbas won the elections initially. Elections were conducted later, and in 2006, elections were conducted both in the West Bank and in Gaza. And in Gaza, surprisingly, Hamas got a majority and won, while West Bank, it was Al-Fatah. Al-Fatah and Hamas, as I told you earlier, have differing ideas about the approach towards Israel and peace and everything. While Al-Fatah is supposed to be a more moderate organization, Hamas is a militant organization, actually designated as terrorist organization by United States and European Union. Both of them are designated Hamas as a terrorist organization, and Hamas won the elections. Israel was occupying by sending its army inside Gaza Strip, but later after this election withdrew, and though Israel surrounds the entire area, they are not inside Gaza as such. They are not inside West Bank too, but in all intents and purposes it's under occupation, because in and out of these territories, if you want to move, you need to get permission from Israel. Several people from these territories also work in Israel. They come and go on a daily basis, but it's severely curtailed. There is a lot of police checks and identity verifications. So Israel, for all intents and purposes, controls these areas. And even though Israeli military is not present inside them. We also need to understand that Jerusalem, which was originally under the formation of Israel, was supposed to be a internationally administered region with divided into two. Eastern should be with Arabs and Western should be with Israel. And Israel should not claim it as their capital, and it should be Tel Aviv, which was a modern city which was built a little later. It was established sometime before the formation of Israel, but it was expanded into a modern city, and that should have been the capital of Israel, which almost all countries in the world have their embassies there, and they have accepted it as a capital of Israel. Which one? Tel Aviv. While Israel has declared few years ago Jerusalem to be their capital, which is not accepted internationally except United States. Under Trump, it recognized Jerusalem as its capital. Okay, so we are coming back to the question as to what is happening over here. You see hundreds of rockets being fired by Hamas from Gaza, where they are in control, into Israel. And Israel, as usual, is known for retaliation, and a retaliation which is quite disproportionate, is attacking back. And as of today, about 220 plus Palestinians have died, including women and children, and 10 Israelis have died. Not exactly. One of them was an Indian, a Keralite, who was there as a housemaid attending on an old person, and he also died in that attack. Point is, where are they getting their rockets from? Hundreds of rockets being sent every day. So let's look at who is backing Hamas. You know, the territory of Gaza, which Hamas administered, is an extremely poor territory with lacks even basic infrastructure. It's even in a much poorer condition than even the West Bank, which is being administered by Al-Fatah. And where are they getting their money from for these hundreds of rockets? And each rocket is supposed to cost at a minimum about $1,000, and we are talking about 100 rockets being sent out every day. 100 into 100 is the $100,000 worth of rockets are being sent every day from a poor territory. So somebody must be giving them the rockets. There must be somebody who is financially backing up Hamas. Who are they? Majorly, two countries are suspected to be backers of Hamas. One of them both of them are not very covert about it. They don't hide it. They admit that they support Hamas. They say that they are supporting Hamas in order to get Palestinians a free country, a free nation. One is Qatar. Qatar is a country which has problems with some of its neighbors. Recently, they have come to some kind of a patch-up arrangements, but otherwise, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Saudi Arabia and UAE put together generally are not very comfortable with Qatar. Qatar, even though it is a Sunni Muslim country, maintains good relationship with Iran, which is a Shiite Muslim country, and Iran and the Western Arab Sunni nations, except Qatar, are at loggerheads with each other as to who controls the Middle East, who is the most powerful country in the Middle East, and therefore there are a lot of tensions, which is incidental to our case over here. We will discuss that, if possible, some other day. So Qatar is one country which is supporting Hamas, and the second one is, of course, Turkey. Turkey has had a revival recently under their president, who has been elected democratically, but who is supposed to be a person who doesn't allow opposition any freedom. He's supposed to be like one of these strongmen politicians like Vladimir Putin and Viktor Orban of Hungary, etc. Who actually, there is a lot of denial of human rights, etc. in Hungary, but Hungary is a country which is very, very ambitious, and their ambition seems to have probably been multiplied many times in the last few years. And Hungary is also a backer of Hamas, and obviously the money that is actually which is being utilized for this is flowing from them. Now, I'll finish with only one aspect more, the political aspect, as to why is this happening. This is happening because of tensions which have been simmering over for decades over the formation of Israel, about freedom to Palestinians having their independence. But there are also political reasons. One political reason is in Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, who has been a prime minister for more than 10 years now, is on his way out. There have been 4 elections in Israel over the last 2 years, and in all these 4 elections, Benjamin Netanyahu's party, which is called the Likud party, had gotten the highest number of seats but was never able to form a government, because Israel is a very let us say a very fractured democracy. There are many small parties, extreme parties and moderate parties, etc., and it is very difficult to cobble together. It can only be a coalition government in Israel, and Benjamin Netanyahu found it very difficult to cobble together a government. He is seen as a rightist, he is seen as a conservative, and his natural allies are conservatives, but together with conservatives they are not able to get the majority. And therefore 4 times in the last 2 years they have been trying to cobble together a majority, and they were failing to do so. And if the present attempt, which is actually made by some opposition leaders to get together and keep Benjamin Netanyahu out, it was actually on the brink of being established, most likely they would have formed a government to keep Benjamin Netanyahu out. Benjamin Netanyahu wants to be in power for one more reason. There are corruption allegations against him, and these are coming up in a court of law. The corruption trial is going to come up in a few days' time, and he wants to be the prime minister in order to possibly get the parliament to get him the indemnity, to get him the permission that he will not be prosecuted. For that he needs a majority, and he needs to be the prime minister. He's still the prime minister, even though he's not been able to cobble together. Since his party is the largest, he's been allowed to continue as the caretaker prime minister. But he's on his way out if the opposition gets together. And this incident has happened right at that time when the opposition talks were progressing. And that possibly gives rise to a suspicion, I cannot be certain about all these things, that he wants these conflict to continue in order that the political pot is kept boiling. In other words, when a conflict like this comes up, normally country comes together, like it's happened in many countries of the world, including in India. Remember Kargil, remember recently the surgical strike and the IAF surgical strikes and the return of Abhinandan Vartaman. All these things united India together. Like there is a sense of patriotism which comes together when your country is under threat. And therefore, this particular incident and the reaction of Israel, and there is a widespread interest to keep this going for a few more days. I also hear that there could be a ceasefire very shortly because the world nations are not amused by what is happening. So Israel cannot go against the United Nations or the other countries for long, but they require something to keep the people united, and the best way to do that would be for the conflict to rage or to go on at least for a limited period of time. On the other hand, let us look at what is happening in Palestine. So let us not put the blame on one side. It is always better to look at both sides. You should always come to your opinion after looking at both sides. Look at what is happening in Gaza. Remember that in elections in 2006, no elections have been conducted since 2006 for one reason or the other. It should have been conducted every 4 years. It's never been conducted. And recently there was a move to conduct elections, which Al-Fatah, the rulers in West Bank, Mahmoud Abbas, is opposing because they feel the conditions are not ripe for elections, because they give some reason that the people of East Jerusalem who are Arabs are not allowed to vote, and therefore if they are not allowed to vote, we will not conduct the elections, etc. Now, the real reason is not simply that. The real reason is if there is elections which is conducted, there is a real possibility that Hamas, which opposes Israel violently, and Al-Fatah, which is a very moderate force which has never been able to impress anybody so far, particularly the Palestinians. Al-Fatah could lose the elections and Hamas could control both the territories. And Al-Fatah does not want to lose its political superiority by holding on to West Bank. West Bank is politically more powerful than Gaza because West Bank is Ramallah is its capital. He is the one which adjoins Jerusalem and is more advanced and more modern compared to Gaza. So they don't want to lose their political superiority, so they don't want to conduct elections right now. And Hamas wants the elections to be conducted. And Hamas, by attacking Israel like this, is actually establishing themselves not only as a regional force in Gaza, but also a force which is looking at saving Jerusalem, because the whole conflict started with worshippers being prevented to worship in Haram al-Sharif, the Dome of the Rock, the third holiest place for Muslims. And look into the origins of the struggle. It started with some police action and then multiplied into a little bit of scuffle and a little bit of stone throwing, and ultimately police action by lathi charge, tear gas canisters, and maybe rubber bullet firing, etc. But at the end of the day, it has escalated into a full-fledged mini war between Gaza and Israel. It is in the interests of Hamas to show the people of West Bank that look here, we may be only in Gaza, but we are protecting Israel. We are prepared to take up the cause of the entire Palestine. What better way than this in order to take control of the entire Palestinian territories and become the de facto fighter, the only fighter for the cause of Palestinians. What you see here is much deeper than a simple question of a conflict for the state of Palestine itself. It's much more complex. It is better if you don't understand the background of the system. It is better to read up a little on the background, or for that matter, run through this whole video once again, but make a note of all the names and instances which I said and go back and read on it. Then you will get a fair idea, and keep reading whatever is happening from now onwards. I think you should have a more clearer idea than when you had earlier. Thank you very much. I'll see you again soon.